There are people still arriving. Yeah. Do we want to hold? Okay, we'll hold up for a minute. That's good. It's fine. All right, well, the first thing I want to say is hello and welcome to Concordia University's Forest Space. And thank you for joining us for today's event, Soil and Water, Propagating Empowered Aging. Now, just to help situate you, we are streaming to YouTube live from Forest Space, and we are located on unceded Indigenous lands in Sawchuk, Montreal. Forest Space, we work with our university community to help mobilize knowledge, co-creating daily activities that examine research questions, projects, and development across the university. And we're running today's event as a live stream Zoom meeting, so we welcome any comments, questions via the chat. And for those of you in the space, if you have any comments or questions, we'll probably run a microphone over to you so that people can hear. But with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce the runners of the workshop for today. We have the Director of Engage in the ACT Lab, as well as Professor of Communications, Kim Sawchuk, as well as PhD candidate in the Individualized Program and the Creator Coordinator of Mind, Heart, Mouth Garden, Andréa Tremblay. Welcome back, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome, everyone. And first slide, please. So this is the title of our workshop, Soil and Water, Propagating Empowered Aging. I'm Kim, this is Andrea, and we're thinking of what we've got in the window there is really the ACT Living Lab mobile garden. And today you're going to be doing some gardening of different kinds. I specialize in water, not that I don't like to get my hands dirty, but it's just that I was looking for a way to grow things in my house this winter that was easy to do, that would allow me to also recycle some things, and that, I don't know, I just really wanted to try out a couple of techniques that I've been working on since about January. So I'll be sharing them with you.
And I'll be soil. So I brought different materials. I run as Doug pointed out, I run the Mind, Heart, Mouth collective garden on the Loyola campus. And I'll be sharing some techniques of planting seedlings and also for soil health in general.
I also just want to do a shout out to our illustrator who's with us today, Carly McCaskill in back there.
Waving.
Who's been doing drawings. Yay, Carly. That we've included both in our slides, but also on the back wall. Also, Olga's not here yet. She's been coming almost every day and doing kind of guerrilla art and leaving art pieces all over the place. So thank you to Olga as well. And as well to Constance Lafontaine, the Director of Research at the ACT Lab, who has really done a phenomenal job putting together much of the programming for BOLD. So I just want to do a big shout out to Constance and to the team, the ACT Lab team, and they're around. They know who they are. Anyway, let's get on. Next slide, please. So here's our objectives for the workshop. Am I doing this one?
Sure.
Okay. Introductions. What we'd like to do is just know who you are. So we're going to have you go. I said, my name is Kim, and my favorite vegetable is the beet.
And my name is Andrea. My favorite vegetable is, there's lots of them, eggplant right now.
Okay. So we would like you just to say your first name, if you're comfortable, and the name of your favorite vegetable. We'll start here. You do have a name, though.
What's your name?
What's your name?
Oh, my name is Carol.
Carol? Perfect.
My name?
Yeah.
Yes,
Adele?
Adele? Do you have a favorite vegetable?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is it?
What? Too shy?
I am here to present to learn how can I go to do pour planting.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And c'est pour when I become old in the old age.
No. Quel légume? Do you speak French?
Je parle français.
Ok. Quel légume, c'est quoi ton préféré par rapport aux légumes? Est-ce que tu as un légume préféré?
Préféré, je parle français préféré maintenant pour ici à Montréal, ici pour apprendre le français, pour améliorer dans la sociale ici. C'est pas pour moi, je suis visiteur ici.
Ok, merci.
Merci. On passe le micro maintenant. Donne le micro à la prochaine.
Hi, I'm Laura Ann. My favorite vegetable is broccoli.
My name is Joy, and my favorite vegetable is the carrot.
My name's Marlene, and right now it's eggplant as well.
And my name is Wendy. My favorite vegetable is sweet potato.
Oh,
My name is Annie. I love all vegetables that are purple in color, and I found they are like cabbage, peas, beans, and kale.
That was cheating. That's more than what's vegetable.
She took all of mine. Hi, I'm Brian. I like butternut squash.
Oh, yes.
Hi, my name is Alban and I love arugula.
Hi, my name is Christina and I also like beets, everything red.
Est-ce que tu as un légume préféré? Oui. Comment tu t'appelles?
C'est Mina et elle aime les concombres. She likes cucumbers.
Hi, I'm Cheryl, and I love big, fat, juicy sweet peas in the pod.
Hello, I'm Cleo, and it's the lowly potato.
Nothing lowly about the potato.
Nothing.
Noble potato.
I'm Sheila, and I like all vegetables orange.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm Wilfred, and I love the big tomatoes.
Yes, no one said tomato yet.
My name is Gareth, and my favorite vegetable is the cauliflower.
Oh, they're original.
Hi, I'm Freya, and I like zucchini.
Oh.
My name is Sarah, and I'm gonna go with carrots as well.
Hi, my name is Mohammed. I like all of vegetables.
Wonderful. This lady?
Hi, I'm Eric. Rapini.
Okay.
I had it last night. It tasted pretty good.
Sandra, I love all vegetables and I don't have a favorite.
Okay.
This is Sheila, and I would say my favorite is sweet potatoes.
Okay. All right, everyone. We're going to have, this is the kind of menu du jour: empowered aging, mind, heart, mouth, and act living lab gardens, 2 workshops, get wet, then play in the dirt, and then questions and discussions. So next slide, please.
Empowered aging.
Why empowered aging? This is something at the ACT Lab and at Engage that really we take to heart. We think about aging, often people put an adjective in front of aging: healthy aging, graceful aging. I'm more like disgraceful aging. But I think what we do is we embrace the idea of empowered aging precisely because it's not only, it's about individual care of the self, but more than that, it's about collective change and transformation, and also about setting up the conditions for a better quality of life until we take our last breath. And so the whole concept of empowered aging is really integral to what we do at Engage, which is Concordia's Center for Research on Aging, but it's also part of the spirit of the ACT projects that have been running since 2013, and also part of, I think, what we've adopted in relationship to growing things, which Andrea will talk about in a minute. Andrea, do you want to talk about how it relates to gardening?
Yeah, so I will describe the work. If we could play the video and sort of in the background. So these are pictures from the garden, but I also brought a video so that you could actually have a sort of a tour of the garden. And I will talk about how the garden as a living lab built around sustainability and food security provides empowerment opportunities for older adults, or as Dr. Sawchuk has explained, empowered aging. So we know that the global population is aging, and in Montreal, in an area called Notre-Dame-de-Grâce in Montreal West specifically, where the Mind, Heart, Mouth Garden is located, 24% of residents are more than 60 years old, and 41% of which have an annual income below the poverty line. So extensive research has demonstrated how health and financial limitations can have negative effects on older adults' ability to access food and interact effectively with peers and other members of the community. So yet, reports by health authorities show many older adults living in this area are affected by overlapping social determinants of health, leading to situations that threaten their well-being and exacerbate social isolation and related ailments. At the community level, we're grappling with intricate challenges encompassing health, ecological, and societal aspects, giving rise to unique difficulties that impact all community members, young and old. So in 2019, in the context of an MA in Media Studies, concerned with numbers like 40% of post-secondary Canadian students suffering from food insecurity, I created the Mind, Heart, Mouth Garden on the Loyola campus with the hope of teaching students to grow food while also providing aspect to a space to do so. Spotted early on by the Concordia Perform Center, who were working with older adults recovering from various injuries or illnesses, the initiative acquired its intergenerational aspect. So during that first year, all the food grown in the garden went to the volunteers, young and old, and to different community organizations. In 2020, because of COVID, the university was closed, but I was not allowed volunteers in the garden. So I still worked on my own and grew food that I donated to community organizations. So since 2021, the garden has become the locus of my PhD research. And a crucial component of this project's method is participatory action research, which means that I work with a community organization called New Hope Senior Citizens. And through this collaboration, we created a garden program for New Hope's members to actively participate in the garden. So the first 2 years after the volunteers share, all the vegetables went to New Hope's Meals on Wheels and twice a week in-house lunch programs. And last summer, to broaden our reach to older adults who might not be able to come work in the garden, we created weekly fresh vegetable baskets in addition to the other offerings. So in the garden, New Hope members and older adults living in the neighborhood and students come to learn and grow. So the garden is a site of collaborative communal work. And together in 2023, thanks to all the work from our volunteers, we produced over 4,000 pounds of vegetables. We had 24 Concordia students volunteer in the garden for a total of 129 hours. 12 New Hope members participated in the garden activity. 16 New Hope members registered for CSA baskets. 150 members received Meals on Wheels that included vegetables from the garden, and 90 members attended New Hope's lunches that included vegetables from the garden. So in 2023, another partnership was created thanks to Dr. Sawchuk, or Kim.
Please call me Andrea, really.
And the Mind, Heart, Mouth Garden joined the ACT Living Lab to create the ACT Living Lab Garden. So through this partnership, we wish to promote multidisciplinary research and awareness in the interconnected fields of age, food, and garden studies. So in my work, I have come to witness how concrete, enduring, and immediate advantages can be realized by embracing inventive approaches that recognize the richness of knowledge diversity, the community's ability to take action, collaborative creation, experimentation, and iterative efforts. Recognizing and addressing these interconnected challenges requires a comprehensive and inclusive approach that prioritizes the well-being of vulnerable communities and offers empowering opportunities as well as a more resilient and regenerative future. So every year in the garden, I see older adults who enjoy learning and simply spending time in the garden. As the summer progresses, I notice how everyone shows pride in their work, how they engage in conversation with the many passers-by who stop to ask questions about the work we're doing. So everyone is proud to explain what we're doing and why, and how the community garden is contributing to the community. So even as the climate crisis brings us heat waves and smoke-filled air from forest fires from the north of Quebec, like we had last summer, which prompts fears and worries many older adults to go outside and to come to the garden even, or as the health crises prevent us from going out, from gathering indoors. So we need to find ways to continue to provide this sort of opportunities for connection and empowerment and to fight social isolation and stigmatization, because the current cultural and societal views of aging are too often associated with stigma and stereotypes of decline. So in the following, I borrow from Dr. Sawchuk's analysis to chime in with distinguished Professor Patricia Hill Collins, who talks about the power of ideas. Central to her thinking is the affirmation that Black women must be the authors of their own experience. She talks about the importance of experience in the production of wisdom and analysis of power and empowerment. This, we believe, also goes for older adults, unseen because of societal stereotype, and is connected to community resilience. So in conclusion, the garden teaches us about interdependencies, about what makes the system whole organically, about reciprocal care between natural elements and people, because in the garden, to chime in with Robin Kimmerer, all flourishing is mutual. So at this point, I think we could start with the workshops. And I'll pass the stage to Kim.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Next few slides, please, Bertie and team.
I'll move to this.
Yeah. So there's Andrea's data that she was mentioning. So this winter, I was really thinking about a couple of things. One, the fires that are creating kind of air quality that's not very good. But also, it's a very long winter, and I got tired of buying basil plants or parsley or things that often within a few days would go bad. And also, I was kind of disturbed by all this, but then I was also interested in how I could, and if I could, begin to garden in my own house using windows and other things that I might have around. So what I sort of started in the house was something that I thought of as a kind of a living lab and a mobile living lab that anybody could do, hopefully in their home, and kind of acquire techniques, but be invited to experiment. So what I see is my interest in water-based gardening is complementary to Andrea's soil. We think of ourselves kind of like yin and yang. I have like mostly water, but I have some soil, as you can see with my pea shoots that I'm growing, microgreens. But most of my techniques that I'm experimenting with are with water, whereas Andrea, of course, uses water too for her garden as well. So I just want to, if you haven't had a chance, go visit the mobile garden. That's part of the installation back there. And what you'll see are kind of three ways that I sort of began. One is through recycling kitchen scraps. This is a piece of cabbage I got, I think, in January that looked like it was gone. I just cut the top off it, used the leaves, of course, put it in some water for a few days, and then watched some roots start to develop. Took a pool noodle that you kind of get, and because you need to make a collar so the plant doesn't fall in the water, and suspended it, and the plant forms roots that gradually drink, and as the plant drinks, it starts to grow, but it creates more oxygen up here. And this method is called the Kratky method, invented by Dr. Bernard Kratky, a biologist from the University of Hawaii, who was looking for really inexpensive ways on the island that people could grow vegetables. So kitchen scraps are one way. I'll tell you, bok choy works really well, the little bottoms of bok choy, but they do tend to get aphids, as I've recently discovered. But they can be beautiful. They grow flowers that you can put in salad or cocktail. Another way that I've grown is, this is a Thai basil that I grew from a seed. And then you can see there's a giant basil plant in the back. And it's just really grown a lot. And again, it takes probably about 2 weeks for the seed to germinate, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. And again, I've just suspended it with a pool noodle, some little skewers, and some aluminum foil to hold it up. One thing I'm going to say is that this is algae, and this is not good for the plant, but I have it open because the roots are so beautiful that I wanted everybody to see them. Normally, another one of the things that I would use to kind of keep off the algae, and I thought I had a sample here, would be to take an old sock and just cut off the bottom and then slip the sock over here. And then what that does is it protects the water. Oh, there's my sock, thank you. Demonstration, like this. Slip the sock over like this. And then that prevents too much light from getting in. Now the algae won't kill the roots, but it does turn it green and it competes for nutrients. The other technique is, well, this one is, I had a basil plant, one of those basil plants you buy in the store, and what I did was I pulled it apart. I've been growing it for a very long time in my house since January. Mostly they don't last that long. I water it from the bottom, kind of suspended, so the roots are always picking up more water, and I put a little bit of nutrient in. I'll talk about that in a minute. But also I split it apart, wash the roots out as best as possible, and then again, used this net pot that you can get online and suspended it by cutting open, what I'll show you in a few minutes is, thank you, Andrea, a grow sponge, which you can again buy online. And you can see that it's hanging there. Again, you always need, with this method, you need oxygen here, and the roots will continue to grow. It's called set and forget because you can actually let it sit for quite a long time in a window. If you don't have enough, a southern window, of course, is best. If you don't have enough light, I also can recommend very small grow lights that work very effectively and have let me grow basil and I can't remember what else, mint, regrown lettuce, peas, all kinds of things all winter long. This is savory, which smells beautiful and grows beautiful little flowers that I just put in this vase that I had brought from my grandmother, long deceased, couldn't bear to throw it out. And this savory plant, again, was grown from a seed. So as you can see, there's different ways that you can use this technique. Scraps, cuttings, and seeds will all kind of work, but in different ways. So next slide, please. So just a little bit of information. So the Kratky method, and you can find lots of information on Kratky growing online if you type in Kratky method or passive hydroponics. So the principle is really some kind of a plant that you can grow, something to suspend the plant or grow the seed, a lid to make sure that it doesn't fall in. And I've done things like taken yogurt containers, taken my little net pot and my sponge and drawn a little line here with a Sharpie and then just taken a knife and cut out around it and suspended it and then watched the roots grow. Water with a very light water nutrient soil. So using this method, you need far less nutrients in your water than you do when you use soil-based techniques. If you put too much nutrient in it, then what will happen is that the plant's roots will burn, they'll turn black, it's not good. If the plants if there's no space for the roots and there's no air gap, the plants will, what's called a dampening, they will just rot and they won't continue to grow. So I'll show you the next slide, which again, we'll put all this up on, I should also mention that all this information is being recorded and will be available through the fourth space as a lecture if you really want to listen to this again. But I also have some handouts and things. Passive hydroponics, so you can see that's about 15 days, then 30, and then later. So as it goes down, you want to, I keep replenishing it. With the scraps, I've been regrowing some lettuce since about January. And basically what I do is I snip the bottom of the leaves, and I've been getting salad like basically all winter long, regenerating and regrowing lettuce stumps like romaine lettuce stumps. Sometimes it doesn't work because companies will put something at the bottom that prohibits regrowth, but sometimes you can kind of scrape it away and see what happens. What I'll say is what I love about that is the idea, like with all of us, you're never too old to regenerate, potentially. Sometimes all we need is a little bit of water. And I love the idea that can we recycle ourselves? I don't know, but we can recycle our plants. What a beautiful metaphor for growing old. So we're not going to do passive hydroponics or the Kratky method, but I do have the next slide, which will tell you the 5 basic things that you need. Oh, yeah, so 3 ways to start growing, from a seedling, a cutting, and a kitchen scrap. That's my house. That's my painting of a little raccoon who's my little friend. And I basically use bookshelves. I'm an aging academic. I don't need so many books anymore. I need food. I basically decided I'm only growing plants now that I can eat, which I do. So those are my experiments in my house, in the window. I also, sometimes reflectors work really well, and my windows in the winter are cold because it's cold outside, -30, -20. So I just went to Dollarama and bought reflectors you put in a car to either stop the heat or stop cold from getting in or ice from being on your thing, and just taped it up and created a little greenhouse for myself. I also have bought, I think they were like 10 for $99 at the time, 2-foot long grow lamps that, again, from Dollarama. I bought curtain rods and put them in my windowsill and hung a lamp from the windowsill. They were only 25 watts, but they seem to be enough. If you feel like you want more wattage or more light, then you can put 2 curtain rods together. And it's been wonderful, and I've really enjoyed it. And I really am not very good with plants, so the fact that I can grow anything is quite a miracle. Next slide. So just to go over the Kratky hydroponic method, there's 5 things you need. You need to go over what we said: a container. And depending on the size of the plant, you can start with something as small as a mason jar like I have. Or I'm like embarrassed my entire family by going through on recycling day other people's garbage and finding plastic containers. And if it doesn't fit, I take my little knife and I cut it so it fits the net pot. I'll try anything really to suspend a plant. The lid, important to prevent evaporation. As you can see, this one that has more air is growing more algae. Not good. Unhappy plant, but I will clean it, wash it, and kind of try and get rid of as much algae as possible. Net pots you can buy online. They're like $12 for about 50 of these, and you can recycle them over and over again. Sponges are also really inexpensive. I've tried, what are they called? Cotton batten. Recycled cotton batten. I've tried anything really. Aluminum foil.
Coconut coir.
Yeah, coconut coir, that's right. I forgot to mention coconut coir, which I had a piece somewhere in my, my little kit here, which looks like this. And then I just wrap it around and just try and make sure the plant doesn't fall in. Basically, that's all you're trying to do. Stop your plant from falling in the water. A growing medium, they would call it a growing medium, but really what it is, it's suspending. I use grow sponges. The growing medium really is the water. And a bit of hydroponic fertilizer. And so again, what I use, there's all kinds of recipes online. I wanted to make my life really simple. I've tried a couple of things, and I found this one, General Hydroponics Maxi Grow 10-5-14, to be really excellent. You need very little of it. And for those of you who are here today and would like, after this workshop is over, I have made little packages for you of half a teaspoon for 1 liter of water of the Maxi Grow, because who needs a giant bag like that? And I have brought souvenir net sponge. If anyone wants to take a pool noodle, you can. And the net pot and a grow sponge. So those will be available to participants after. Any questions so far? Yes? Yes,
Could you repeat the question on mic for us, Kim, just so people online can hear?
Sorry.
No worries.
Annie was asking, do I transfer my plants out from one medium to, well, I don't know, 2 questions maybe, from one medium to another. Yes, I've moved from soil to water, but you have to clean it. But you can do the opposite, but you also don't know what will happen to the plant. Some plants don't like it. So if you're transplanting from water to soil, it can be done, but the plant may not be happy for a bit, and it may die. I've also planted, like the Thai basil I have, it just grew too big for what it was in. It was falling all over, so I had to give it a 4-liter container. I transferred it. It looked a little unhappy, but it seems to still be doing okay. And so again, you need very, very, very little nutrient. I say half a teaspoon to 1 liter of water. Really, even put a little less and see how your plant does hydroponically. Make sure it's stirred up, and then you just put the, mix it in one thing and then pour it into this so that you really make sure you don't have too much, okay? Yeah. I just keep adding more water. So I mix a solution in a giant 4-liter container with the right amount, and then I just top it up as needed. Because if it goes dry at the bottom, it will die. But it's shocking how little water you need. So what the advantage of this method is that you don't need to buy stones, you don't need to have a pump, you don't need to have an aquarium, and you can experiment with scraps, a single seed grown in here. If you do grow a single seed in here, you wet the sponge first, you drop, say, a lettuce seed in, you have to cover it and let it germinate for, I don't know, however long it takes.
Depends on the seed.
It depends on the seed. Basil, I thought the basil was dead, it would never grow, and then suddenly, boom, started poking its little head through. Poke a little hole so it has just a tiny bit of light so it knows where to go, and it'll come through. But again, if you have other plants, you can sort of, experiment. I've even bought, like the mint I bought in a package, it had absolutely no roots, and I was able to root it. Watering the sponge, cutting the sponge, suspending the mint, and waiting for it to grow. Often at the beginning, if I'm cutting propagating by using a cutting, I don't use any nutrient at the beginning. I just let it grow in water first.
Okay, we have another question back here. Oh, you need the mic.
Hi, about the grow lights. Do you also buy those at the Dollarama?
No, they don't have them. I did buy them on Amazon. I hate to admit it. It was the least expensive place that I found. You can buy them. There are places. There was one place that my stepson, who's does ecological landscape gardening, used to go to, but they closed. And I haven't found a place to really replace them. So online, if you do have a couple of friends who might want to do it, I would recommend buying the 2-foot ones and getting the lamp, not the lamp, the curtain rod.
I don't use Amazon.
Yeah, well, then you have to look online and see where they might. I know there are some available at Rona.
There's Rona, Home Depot, Reno Depot.
Canadian Tire.
Yeah.
You'll pay a lot.
Oh, okay. And so basically, so for the cabbage plant, how does the actual cabbage form in the hydroponics?
I don't know if it's going to. It might just form leaves. I don't really know. A lot of root vegetables like potatoes won't work, beets won't work hydroponically, lettuce works beautifully, basil, of course, works well, savory works well, mint works well. Root vegetables do not work well with this method. Celery works well, radicchio I've done from a scrap, but just fun to see it sort of pop up. Yes.
So basically leafy greens.
Leafy greens and sprouts.
Yeah.
You would think spinach would, but it doesn't.
We have another question.
Spinach likes
maybe one more question, and then we'll move on to the next part of
this. This is just a clarification, Kim. If you're growing the seed growing from seed, you don't submerge that little wrapper in the water.
No, you don't. It's got to be moist.
Yeah. So you moisten it and suspend it?
It's not deep. So this doesn't go all the way to the bottom. It's very shallow. It'll hopefully go to the bottom, and then gradually you'll see the little roots start to come out. Gotcha. What? Yes? You should know you don't want light. I have it because I'm showing off the roots. But normally what I would do is you would cover it with an old sock. People use, for really awkwardly shaped shapes like this, people put aluminum foil around it. I sew, so I've made little outfits. Which was kind of ridiculous, really, but. No, the roots do not want the light. The greens want the light, but not the roots. But I always want to check the roots to make sure that there's enough water or liquid at the bottom, but also just because I looking at them to see if they're healthy or not. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I just encourage you to go online. You'll find lots of people trying this technique, and just start one plant at a time, and it's kind of fun to see what works. And if you do have enough light in your own house, you really probably don't need artificial lighting. And if you don't want to go on Amazon, you can go to another fine corporation and pay more. But if you do want, and you do order from Amazon, I would suggest 2 or 3 people get together, buy a batch, and I've even thought of doing this. I haven't talked to Constance about it. Buying a batch and sort of offering it, it would cost you about $2 a light, which is really nothing for a lot of pleasure. Yeah, yeah.
For my seedlings, I bought a bulb.
Yeah.
I bought a bulb from, I think it was Home Depot or Canadian Tire. It was $40, and you can screw it into any light.
Yeah.
And it's got switches. You can do germinate, grow, and one light was enough for me to do all my seedlings for the garden, and it was $40, so
Yeah.
it's affordable.
Yeah. Okay. I do have quite an extensive garden at home on bookshelves. Continue, next.
Next is the...
Next slide, please.
The workshop, huh?
Yeah, is the workshop back. So let's grow peas in a microgreen, in a cup. So this is what you have in front of you. You have a container, which is going to be the plastic compostable cup. Take one. You have toilet paper. You have an old plastic bags that I've cut up for your pleasure. You've got water in a spray bottle. You'll need a couple of pieces of toilet. You'll have to share the toilet paper and etc. I've already soaked your peas, and they're in the black pots on the table. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a technique. I've done one here. And I'm going to unroll it. I'm going to reverse engineer. You're going to lay out your piece of plastic on the table in front of you. And you're going to take a piece of toilet paper. And again, this is not a science. This is an art. And you're going to put your toilet paper on your piece of plastic. There should be enough, and if you don't have enough, let us know and we'll have someone get you some. And then you are going to spray toilet paper. Not to...
So you put the plastic under, and then you put the toilet paper on top. Could we pass the toilet paper, please? Thank you.
This is so much fun.
It is, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, I like to line the top of my toilet paper to the top of my plastic.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah, you need the full line up. Yeah, so what you need to do is you need to restart with your toilet paper, Lenore. And then, it's damp, wet.
Damp. Yeah.
You'll see.
Did you already wet it? Is that, yeah.
Okay, so now what you're going to do is that you're going to take, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 peas. And to choose peas, these are soaked for about 10 or 12 hours, maybe a little long. Hopefully they'll all work out. And what you're going to do is you're going to line them up, and you're going to leave a gap between them. So maybe about a thumb or so. So about 1 inch apart. And you don't put them right at the top. You put them maybe about a ½ an inch from the top. So what you're going to do, yeah, you're going to line them up like this, but like that. Line them up at the top, a little higher, Lenore. Get a little closer to the top. You need a spray bottle? We've lost a spray bottle. Here's one.
Hi, how are you?
Looking good over here. Everybody's peas. Oh, get your peas higher, Mina.
No, I don't really. Did you want to?
Pew hole. Yeah, sort of up here. Oh my gosh, you have a lot of water there. Maybe a bit, but we'll see. And you want to have them kind of close to the top. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, close to that edge, yeah. Those are ordinary peas from Click that I bought. Now, you can buy expensive peas online, like sugar peas they're called, and they are fantastic. That's what I have growing up there. I'll send around some scissors later and you can try my peas. But what I also discovered by watching YouTube videos and very thrifty people is that these peas, which are about $4 or $5, super inexpensive, I just use them that you would buy to make pea whatever, soup. And you buy mung beans, and I do my own bee sprouts, not using this technique, that's another workshop, just like that. So you don't want to buy stuff that's vacuum packed because apparently that doesn't grow, but if they're loose, it grows. You also want to make sure if you have any smashed peas or peas that look unhealthy, don't include them. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your peas, and I'm going to just do it with Annie. Annie, I need a little more water here. Oh, it's a bit dry. I did soak them for this. There's debate in the microgreen community. Some people say 4 to 6 hours. Some people say 12 hours. Some people say 24 hours. These have been soaked for about 12 hours. And that's kind of what I land on. I don't know. Like I said, find out, and the worst, the only thing that'll happen, this maybe is a bit too long. I'm gonna get some scissors and cut that.
Here.
Oh, I just made a mess of your peas, Annie. I'm sorry. So you roll it up like sushi. You just roll it.
One after another.
Yeah, like that. You should try and make sure there's a gap. So and it's, again, just, you go, so roll. You're gonna sushi your seeds.
Yes.
You start at one end, that looks good. I mean, again, I don't know. I just watched a video on YouTube and I learned myself. And it worked.
Yeah.
See, look at, that's what it'll look like. This is what you aspire to.
Yeah.
And they'll just grow.
She'll tell you the rest. Yeah, they will.
It's looking good. Yeah. Then you put it in your cup.
Okay.
And then you do it again. And you can fill a cup up or not.
Yes.
I don't know how many, tried to cut up a lot of plastic. We have a lot of peas, so if you want to keep going and rolling, roll your own. You can keep rolling and fill up your cup.
So you could make more.
Yeah, there's a lot. Listen,
so
I soak a lot of peas.
Bunch. Yeah,
and if you don't roll these
bunch
peas,
of those,
I'm going to be rolling peas for the next 5 days.
And then they stay. And at some point, they'll all start growing from the top.
So, yeah, and you know what? That was your first one. It's kind of like the first pancake. It's not going to be so good. But the second one will be fantastic. And you're going to develop your own style. Pea rolling style. It'll be fantastic.
Did you have a finished one?
I don't
Over there?
No, I don't. I don't have a finished one.
We'll have finished one soon.
Yeah, you can, but I recommend the toilet paper. I've not tried it with paper towel, but experiment, keep notes. I don't. I'm too lazy. And I want to say so what you're going to do after you've grown the reason I'm doing this is because I didn't want to send you home with water in your knapsack. And so I will pass around also some aluminum foil after that you can cover it up with. You keep it covered for like 3 or 4 days, or keep it in dark, and hopefully it'll start to germinate if all goes well, my peas aren't rotten. Yeah, and then as it sprouts up, as it goes towards the light, it should look like that. So over the past 4 or 5 days we've been here, or no, 6 or 7 days. I'm going to the washroom. Yeah. I grew these peas were grown with those peas that I showed you. About 5 days. Away. So this is what the roots in here look like. This is another technique. This technique, no nutrients. Any sprouting you do not need nutrients, you do not want nutrients. It's only when you're growing a giant plant that you need to do nutrients. Each pea will grow one little stalk. And then what you do, and I'll get to the harvesting, it's the next slide, is you're going to cut them just above the first growth. Peas are amazing because they will keep regenerating at least 2 or 3 times. So that plant, can we have the next slide? There's what it looked like after I gave it a haircut. And you can see the roots kind of at the bottom of the cup. I kept filling up with water a little bit. And it kept growing, and then I would cut, and then it would keep growing. And I got about 2 or 3 harvests off that. So use it for salads, or you can just snack on it. Now, if you find that cup too big, I kind of recycle everything in my house as much as I can. And I had some smaller cups that were about this high, and I found those worked really well. These are quite high. It should work, but you can always transplant them to another cup at your own house at your own leisure. So make as many as you want. I'm not going to force you to do the peas. I've shown you in my spare time, took a kitchen knife or a chopstick or one part of a corkscrew and just made holes, then suspended this here, put peas on here with no soil whatsoever to see if it would grow after they've been soaking, covered them for a few days, and again, this is what happened. So again, you can use lots of recycled materials. This one, I put a little of cocoa coir in it. It also likes the soil. One thing to watch for peas is that they grow fungus easily, and you can see they're rotting. I should have been checking this, so the peas that aren't growing, I would normally remove them. You can use cotton, cotton balls works sometimes too. Yeah, I mean, it's really the water that does it and the seed. So once the peas are like this, 4 or 5 inches high, I just take a pair of scissors. We have cute little scissors at home. And I just cut here. And then,
How long does it take for them to regenerate?
I actually don't, maybe a week. It depends how much light there is. This.
And it'll come out of the same.
Yeah. Usually I can get 2 to 3 harvests off of one growth like this. No, this one has soil, but this one doesn't. These were dwarf peas. These are the click peas. So, those are a bit better quality seed. They're slightly nice, but they're inexpensive and they're still very tasty. Yep. I've never done that. Maybe. Try it. If you've got roots, you can see if you want to transplant or not. So we'll just have a few minutes. I can pass around the plant and the scissors if you would like to partake in the harvest. You are invited. And just cut above here. You can see this one's already grown since I've been here.
Cut above the first leaf.
Yeah, and if you make a mistake, I'm not going to punish anybody. And you don't get grades. Any questions? And that one I did, and this one I did not. And that's not soil. I don't use soil for this method. I used what's called cocoa coir that I did get at Canadian Tire. Yeah, it's made of the husk of coconut. I have a sample here. It looks like that. Cocoa coir, I'll pass it around. No, I bought that at Canadian Tire. Giant bag.
So you can use just about any seed with this method, or there are some seeds?
I would say, you don't want to do root vegetables.
Okay, no worries.
The question was, can I use any seed? There's some that work better than others. I think lettuce works magnificently. It's just to hold, so the plant has something to grasp, to give the seed something to grasp. When I grow it here with no, as you can see, this is just, I punched holes in an old styrofoam meat tray. There's nothing. It's just the plant. I'll pass it around, but I'll pour the water out
And you
first.
bought the trays from Canadian Tire?
No, I recycled them from vegetables that I had in. I just keep everything. Yeah, so these are just things I had around the house. So you can, I'll pass this around to you. You can take a look.
Can I take some so that I can go home and
Yeah.
buy these from Canadian Tire?
Sure.
Now I can show my husband.
It grew, the roots grew in that. Just grew like that. One of the things, put the seeds on it. I covered the seeds in a bit of damp. I put a towel on, cut up a towel. This, my souvenir martini glass towel. Sprayed it, but keep it in the cupboard for 3 or 4 days. I also sometimes, like during any microgreens, not with the peas in a cup, but this, I put a bit of weight on it so that the roots grow down at first. And then later on, as it started to emerge, the roots, I just let it grow. It should be in the dark, yes. I'll give you some aluminum foil if you like today, that you can put it in the dark and then put it in the cupboard. Just kind of check on it. And as soon as you start to see a few sprouts growing in a couple of days, you want to aerate it a bit, because if it stays just humid, it might mold. So take that's why cloth is good. Like when you bake a cake or something, you want something that's stopping some air but letting a bit go through. And yeah, it works. Well, that's when you do sprouts in a jar. This technique is different. I do that too. But no, actually, that's really easy and also really nice, and you can grow things. Again, what Paula is asking about is this kind of microgreens that I also grow in a mason jar, but with a lid and net. And you have to wash it every day. And some work like that and some do not. Like arugula, someone likes arugula here. Arugula, you pretty much have to grow on a bit of soil or something because it's got a bit of a coat of slime on it. It will not grow using that. So you have to know what you're growing and what technique works for what. Yep. What did you try and do?
Just about any seed. Like I bought one of those, stacked tiered that you're just supposed to put the water in and it drains down. And every single time before that sprouts, it goes.
Probably too much water and not enough air.
Oh,
you let them. They need to get some air during the day.
Okay.
So that they need to stay dark to germinate at first, but then they're going to need some air because they'll go moldy. One of the things I also have is I sleep with a face fan because I get really hot at night, admit. And so now I use my face fan to fan my vegetables as they're growing, but also I put it next to my seeds because the air is really good for the plant. I put it in a cupboard in the dark, but you can also just put a cloth over it, an old towel, whatever. You take it off and you give it air for 10 or 15 minutes. Even if it's in the cupboard, put it in the cupboard and just let it air out. But try and keep it in the dark. Yeah?
You said that the microgreens got more nutrients than the normal
Yeah.
vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the nutrient is packed into that seed. That's why it also doesn't need, for this technique, it doesn't need any, to be anglais, it doesn't need to be nutrients in it. Yeah.
And also, it has no pesticides.
Yes, no pesticides. Yeah. So Anne?
The animals don't eat your plants.
Exactly.
Some of the things that I have, can you put them in water?
You can do that. You can cut them, Wendy, and try and make a cutting from it, propagate it, and see what happens. Yeah, you also want to make sure you cut any leaves off the bottom, because if you leave the leaves in, they'll start to mold. Yep. Well, you take the tinfoil off after about 4 days after this starts to, yeah. I actually have handouts on the pea technique method for you, so that I will hand out the handouts in a few minutes. Next slide. Is everybody finished? Has everybody had a chance to try their peas? Okay. I love them personally. I don't know, it's just very pleasurable growing your own things. All right, so water is done. Thank you. Andrea, do you need help setting up? And yeah, if you still have any questions while we're sitting up here, if there's any leftover peas, I will just put them in one pot and figure out what I'm going to do with them. If somebody wants to take them home and try and propagate them in something like this, I'm happy to share. Okay, give me a bag. But they'll have to be sown pretty quickly because they've been soaked. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll show you later if you want to come visit the garden over there. No, I do take the clump, the bottom part, the little tige, the thing at the bottom. Yeah. You can clean it off or just put it in water and see what happens. Not the leaf. Leaf will not grow, no. Thank you. You want some more?
It's okay.
Did you try? You can pinch it off.
Does it go on the top of the peas or on the bottom?
The what?
The peas go on the top or the bottom?
It's going to go up. Yeah. They're really tasty.
So cool. I'm always like, move, I gotta catch
Oh,
it.
did you want to try?
Not so crass.
Just pinch it. Do you want to taste it?
Oh,
Oh. I use coconut core, but you don't have to, and water on the bottom. Yeah. So if anybody wants the instructions for the peas in the cup, handouts. I'll just put them on the table and you can pass them around. Hi.
Thank you, that was great.
Oh, you want it? Hi. You're not shaking my hand, you wanted a handout.
I'll
Okay.
take your hand and the handout.
I also put on a couple of references to sites on YouTube that I think are good. Anybody else? Okay. Oh, hi, Layla. Good to see you.
11:30? It's 12. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, there's something at...
What's your name?
It's fine.
From where do I know you?
Oh.
Probably through the
Thank you so much.
municipal action plan for the elderly.
Oh, yes.
That I coordinated with the
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that now.
And
Yeah.
I worked with them again.
It's much easier
Okay.
than moving
Nice.
everything.
Do you have the new? See on.
You have like 3 minutes. I
Sure, of course.
wanted to have a very quick chat.
Sure, of course.
So that was great.
Oh, thank you. Lentils work really well. Yeah, lentils work well. And actually, you can just buy lentils in a big bag and soak them again, I think. But if you go online, people will and say, lentil microgreens. But we need a whole day for this, obviously. Oh, thank you, Sheila. Oh, you move it after my own art. Well, I've got a heck of a lot of peas left over, so yeah, I guess I'm going to grow a lot. Okay.
Yeah, so we met during that process.
Okay, yeah.
That was going back like 6 years ago.
Yeah, 2000 is, no, but even before 2019, I think.
It was 2017
Yeah.
to 2018. And then it was delayed, and then it was delayed, and then last year the
Yeah.
city did an update.
Yeah. Yes, I do remember those consultations.
Yeah, but we didn't get.
Okay.
Without any controversy this time.
Good.
The reason I'm here though is that I'm.
Do you want me to just turn off my mic so that, I'm sure you won't, but I don't want.
Sorry, we are going to move to the next workshop. So this is with soil. There's a lot of talking. I'll just talk to you here.
Yes, we're the good students.
So, yeah, the teacher's pet. So a healthy soil is made of 5 ingredients. We're talking garden soil or soil to grow vegetables in general. Those 5 ingredients are minerals, so clay, silt, and sand, gas like oxygen, water, and organic matter, and of course living organisms. So those are very important. Organic matter or compost is what actually holds the soil together and what makes it fertile. And it's also part of what drives the biology. So organic matter plays a crucial role in building stable structure in the soil. That means a porous, open soil that allows the seeds to germinate and throw roots down. So a soil with more organic matter will be more resilient and have a better structure. So I borrow here from an author, Didi Perhouse. So this is flour. So this would be a soil that has no organic matter, for instance. So when we talk about like the fields of dead soil or the soil that has had too much or a lot of chemical fertilizers killing the life in the soil, it becomes kind of like this. And we know that when there's strong winds, what happens to the soil is, so the particles from the soil blow off and go into the air, and with all the chemicals that have been sprayed in that soil and other things as well. So the dust will create also health issues for people that are like in the vicinities of this blowing, and we see sometimes if you have like large fields of that, like families and people get sick around these areas. So now what happens in a dead soil when it starts raining? So I don't know if you could see from there, but if it rains, as you could see, the water is kind of sliding to the side, not going in. So this is what means that it's creating a flood on the side. And this is what happens when you have areas with dead soil and fires. There's no moisture held in the soil. If you were to leave that in the sun, then it cakes up, right? And it makes this thick. So the roots, the water never ends up going to the roots. If you were to put organic matter into a soil like that, you then have a more resilient soil that's not going to fall apart like that. There won't be as much flooding. And also when there's wind, it's not blowing in the wind. And if you add to that plants to it, the roots of the plants are also holding the soil together. So Didi Perhouse is an international speaker, and she's talks about how this could help in forest fires. It could help in many, many issues where you have, I'm not going to get into the details here because it's a whole topic in itself. But what happens when you do put the life, if you put yeast, for instance, in flour, you have a cake or a bread, and you do this, it absorbs the water, and there's no flooding around. The rain would be absorbed and feed the roots of the plants and the life that's in the soil. So I think that's, for me, that's a very, same thing in a garden. For instance, if you're outside, if you need to put life in the soil for it to be more fertile, but also for it to hold the nutrients so that these effects that I just talked about don't happen. So, yeah, adding biology to the soil, like one of the things I didn't bring, but you could actually buy as mycorrhizal, and so you could add that to your soil. So it's a fungi, and it helps the roots of the plant and the plants to make these connections together. It helps the roots to go get the nutrients in the soil. The life, the nematodes, the worms then are moving through the soil, creating passageways. So a soil of good quality will hold it together. So we are going to move to the actual planting seedlings, which I call playing in the dirt. I use my own hands. I don't have gloves for everybody, but there's also a couple of shovels. So I would invite you to, I don't know if we should do table by table, but I brought here, so you don't necessarily need to use these, but I bought some ingredients that are kind of natural things that I will add to, let's say if I'm planting seedlings. When you plant a seedling, you don't actually need life in the soil because everything a seed needs to grow is contained in the seed. So you could plant, I don't know if any of you has experienced planting the beans and cotton balls that they may have the children do. So the seed, it actually grows into a plant, right? So after that, when it gets about this high, it does need nutrients. So then you would, I do make sure it's a very light soil. So I may put this sort of thing. You may put perlite, which is also a natural ingredients. I brought here chicken manure. I have, this is just the soil. The soil that's in there, in case you're wondering, is just regular potting soil. One thing you would want to do if you're going to plant a seedling, this is called activateur de sol. So this has good bacteria that will help your roots of your seedling to grow into the soil and to mix into it. So activateur de sol is quite important. This is a regular fertilizer that you could buy at pretty much any, I think I got this at Home Depot. Bone meal is also, has calcium. It's particularly good for tomatoes, but it's good for the soil in general and for the plant to also form roots. A plant with strong roots will be a strong plant that produces healthy vegetables. So when you plant your seedling, you could add a tiny bit of this, like this much. And the same thing with the bone meal. You don't need a lot. It's going to be a small container. So basically, and this is compost. This is vermicompost. So this you could put a little bit more, just this much. And so I'll put everything here. So you could take a container and you will about, I don't know, halfway, about this much. And then you could put a little bit of this. And then I'll put another fork or spoon in here. Just about this much. And then you want to mix it a bit, because it's never good for the roots to be directly touching the fertilizer. And then you'll add a little bit of vermicompost. And here I have, these are kale. I have some onions and just mixed lettuce if you want. So you could choose any of those. You could scoop this like that. It's always better not to grab the plant. So you could just scoop it up like this, a little bit on the side. And then you will put it here, and then you will just add a little bit of soil to it. And then that's it. Then you're adopting a little guy, and you may take it home, take care of it, watch it grow. And as I said before with Robin Kimmerer, this reciprocal care, if you take care of the plant, it will take care of you by feeding you after. So I really love that perspective. And so, yeah, you could, again, I use my hands. We have a sink right there in the corner if you want to wash your hands after. And then, yeah, you don't need to press it too much. I don't do the massaging the roots very much, like just by pulling them out of there, I think is enough. But you do like press it just a little bit. And of course, next step always, when you plant a seedling or a seed, you should just water them. Because the roots they need to get, this is a little traumatizing for a plant, for a plant. And so, yeah, so I invite you, just whoever wants to come and plant a seedling to come.
Replant it into a bigger pot, right?
Yes, yes. Because they've grown now, they've outgrown their smaller pots.
Oh, it's already done.
No, because these are too small. You see, these pots are bigger. So we need to put them in bigger pots.
What's the difference between vermicompost and vermiculite?
Vermiculite is from another organic matter, volcanic matter, and it. No, it's not. See, we use vermiculite sometimes on top because it's kind of sterile. It doesn't it won't mold or anything. Like if you look at these are okay, but sometimes it gets a little bit. I also have onions here. So if somebody chooses the onions, they need to be separated. So onions are pretty resilient. These are red onions. So you would do like this. Breaks my heart when roots are ripping. See, this you could take and plant it at home after. And then you could separate, because they're red onions.
So you just put one in that.
Yeah.
And can you do the same with leeks?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
So there were 3 there.
Yeah, I have 3 of them. So anyways,
I'm going to do one.
or you could take, if you have somewhere else to plant it at home, you could take a whole one and then separate them at home. Otherwise, you could just have one onion in there. It could be the cutest thing ever. There you go.
And even this pot isn't too big for that?
No. Well, now they're pretty small. Yes. What? Oh, the shovel, sorry.
I think I've been abusing my seedlings.
No.
I'm amazed they have enough water.
Sorry. This seedling?
No, mine.
Oh,
When I
you're
grow
at
mine,
home.
no, pull them up. I just pull them up and plop them in. And
Yeah, we do that, but it's always better. To me, they're like little babies.
I know.
And so I'm very gentle with them.
I was watching going, oh my God, I haven't been very nice to
I do little prayers for them.
I do too. I talk to them.
I talk to them as well.
Yeah.
This is after I need
There's
to be
also-
more gentle.
There's also a Talmud prayer. I didn't even know that all it is and translated into English, and I've been saying it since forever. And then one day I came across the poem, and it's just grow, grow, grow.
Oh, I need to do that. I do that, but like in my own language. Like I plant them, and I like, please grow. Like, please, like,
Every
don't,
blade
don't
of grass.
die.
Yeah, the Talmud poetry in Hebrew, and it's about every.
Did you
blade
read
of
Robin
grass.
Kimmerer?
You know what? I
You
can't
would
remember.
love
I
her
read
book,
a whole bunch
Braiding
of.
Sweetgrass.
Oh, I probably read it.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
talking like in the
wonderful.
like earlier 2000s.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and it's all about that. It's all
Yeah,
about
I'm pretty
this.
sure I did.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this method where you don't till the earth?
Yes.
Is that?
But tilling the earth is also it's going below like 6 in like there's different approaches, right? But the one that I sort of prefer is this one where you don't like under 6 inches is no till.
So you can do the top.
Yeah, because you need to put fertilizer, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like no till is when you're not going to cut the roots and you're not going like all out and just turning everything inside out. So but you do like I add fertilizer and I have to mix it in. Like you can't have it sit on top, right? So I do a gentle tilling. I do leave some roots, like if plants are healthy in the fall, I will cut them just at the base. Yeah, to not disturb like whatever life.
3 kale plants that have been returned. I'm in the 3rd year.
Yeah, this year particularly because the winter was pretty mild. Yeah, I heard that too.
Because right now I have some garden boxes, but they're full of weeds.
Right.
And I'm like, if you're not supposed to till, how do you?
No,
weeds out,
that's right.
Like,
It becomes confusing, right? So it's okay to remove them. You could leave the weeds if you want. Depends on the weeds too, because some weeds will bring bad insects. Oh yeah, there you go.
Or
Yeah.
should I put more soil?
No, for an onion, I think that's good. Yeah.
This is my first
So you know
onion.
what I've been doing with the onions? I cut a little bit of the green, and I put it on my salad, and it keeps growing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about?
Same thing with the kale. So when the kale's gonna grow, well, this one is gonna come off now because it's broken. But when I'll tell everybody, but when the kale grows, this could grow all summer. Well, if you cut just the leaves that are growing on the outside, it just keeps growing and it could get very tall, right?
And I had one that went to seed.
Right.
And I took the seeds.
Did you get the seeds?
I got bags of seeds.
I know, it's a lot.
I left one over the winter, and the birds came and they were eating it.
Oh, perfect. That's so nice.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it fed like I had.
So you could leave them on the plants, and they probably would go eat them on the plant.
They do. They come and the little birds that stay, they hang on the thing, and I could see them like eating.
Yeah.
And they were there all winter, and I was like,
that is so cool. I like to hear that.
And how do you handle? I have white fly in my.
Oh, that's not good.
And I've tried.
I think you could try and spray with black soap. Are you okay?
Do I just put this little baby in there?
Yeah, you could, and then you'll put soil on top.
On top?
And
Just squish it?
No, don't squish it.
Okay.
Just put like soil on top so that it stands straight.
Okay. Thank you.
Or my mother would have my head if I didn't make the things stand straight. She's like, your tomato plant's crooked. I'm like, it's gonna grow, Mom, it's fine.
Grow.
And she's like, no, you have to plant it straight.
Straight. It's just a symmetry thing.
I don't know. Yes, of course.
I'm very new to this, and I started anyway. This fertilizer, like, how do you know which ones are?
Oh, it's tricky.
I'm growing sunflowers.
Sunflowers are fun. Outside?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and so they need a lot of sun, right?
Oh, no, that's not an issue where we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so it was more like for the soil.
so in the spring, is it old soil or new soil?
A bit of both, because I've added new
So
soil.
I just always add life to it. So I would put like vermicompost and maybe chicken manure, like any kind of life to it, as opposed to like you could do this later, but not for sunflowers so much. You could do like just a commercial fertilizer. Fertilizers are like I would never use like a fossil fuel based or a fertilizer, but when you're looking for fertilizer, it's really like you're looking for these numbers. So if your plant is too yellow, you would want a good nitrogen, which is the middle number. So, so you kind of, you have to see the plant to know what it's missing. But so if you go in general with a fertilizer that has the 3 same numbers, you're pretty safe, because then it's putting everything, unless, yeah, but it's pretty safe.
Do you test the soil?
I need to test the soil this year. It's year number 6. I've never tested the soil, but it's a soil I plant. There's a reason why we're growing 4,000 pounds of vegetables in the summer is that I plant very tight, and I do companion planting, but at the same time, it's very tight, and I put a lot of fertilizer all summer. Like,
keep adding it in.
I keep, yeah.
You're digging around the plant, or you're just shaking it in.
Well, I use, at the garden, I use a fish emulsion fertilizer. And so you dilute it in water, and then you you pour it everywhere, like a tea.
I've got a garden and a greenhouse, but I've got to refresh my soil this year.
Yeah.
So that's a way to know.
Yeah. They have an algae fertilizer. It's quite expensive though.
Is that enough?
But, and also like this thing.
Yeah, that I don't have.
This is pretty amazing. Like I had tomato plants last year. There was some kind of disease like throughout the garden, all the tomato plants, like tomato wilt.
Yeah.
And they all started wilting, and we were all panicking. And there's 5 gardens at Loyola, and everybody was freaking out. But I buy a lot at Urban Seedling, and because of that, like they usually give me a decent price. Like not more expensive than elsewhere. But he suggested to make I call it a tea, to dilute this in the water. And we poured it like lavishly onto all the tomato plants, on the leaves. Yeah. And within a week, they came back. There's like maybe 5 plants that did not.
Goodbye to all of you on Zoom. Thank you for joining us. And there is another session starting at 2 p.m., right?
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Thank you to Kim. Thank you to Andrea. Zoomers, stay tuned. We'll be back for our next bold session at 2. Thanks, everyone.